This just very well might be your next monitor. KTC reached out to us to sponsor this video for us to check out their 27-inch 4K 160Hz HDR 1000 IPS gaming panel that has mini LED technology. I am excited to see this.
And it's even won the Red Dot Design Award.
So mini LED technology is great because it offers a lot of benefits that you don't get in traditional gaming panels. Similar to what you would get with OLED, where you have fewer pixels illuminated at a given time so that your image has higher contrast. But as opposed to OLED, it's actually not gonna have a tremendous cost associated with it. And when I found out how much KTC is selling this monitor for, I thought this is actually a remarkably good deal, considering that I just purchased an OLED gaming monitor for more than what this costs, but this has better specs for what I would want it for. 4K, 160 Hz, as I mentioned, and it has 2,304 LEDs with 576 zones. So I'm expecting that we are gonna get some really crisp contrast, a lot better illumination, backlight bleed is gonna be less of a thing. And I recently picked up a mini LED TV as well, and I can instantly notice the difference between that and a regular LCD television in terms of the amount of backlight that's existing in a dark environment. So the packaging on this is actually remarkably clean. There is not a whole lot of fluff in there, and it's just everything you need. So here's the panel itself with the back aspect in order to connect the stand and VESA mounting if you want to do that. No screws necessary in order to get that on. But what KTC is also saying about their panel is not only is it mini LED, so you're getting that high contrast, but it also has HDR 1000, so it can get up to 1000 nits brightness on HDR content, as well as 600 nits brightness on SDR content. On top of that, it has delta E values of less than 2, so it's going to make it so that this is actually a much better color accuracy experience than you get on a lot of gaming panels. And it looks like there's just one screw to get the whole monitor put together. This has a latch that allows you to attach it, and now we have the monitor all put together. I do like that they have protection paper along the entire display before you even open it up, so that I can set it down and prepare it without having to worry about scratching anything, which not every gaming monitor does. The stand itself, you can pivot it, you can height adjust, and you can tilt so that you can have this monitor in any orientation that you want. It looks like they include a DisplayPort 1.5 meter cable. Now the connection on here is DisplayPort 1.4, which is going to allow you to hit that 4K 160 Hz. Then we have a USB-C cable plugged in here because it does have a USB Type-C port on the monitor itself, which can actually deliver 90 watts of power. And then finally an HDMI 1.5 meter cable, which is going to be HDMI 2.1, which again does support that 4K 120. So if we take a look underneath, you have the DC power in, as well as two USB 3.0 ports, which are actually part of the KVM switch that's baked into this monitor. So if you want to connect multiple devices to this, what you're going to be able to do is have it switch over your keyboard and mouse, if it's connected to the monitor, to whatever device you happen to have on. So that's great if you're using a laptop, a Mac Mini, or anything else connected to this on top of your gaming PC. You're going to be easily able to switch between them. There's USB-C, as I mentioned, which can also deliver 90 watts of power. That can still do 4K 160. You have a single DisplayPort 1.4, and then two HDMI 2.1s, and then an earphone jack in case you want to connect your audio to the monitor itself. But with that 90 watt charger, that's going to be great if you're trying to connect it to any type of laptop that can charge over USB-C, but you can also connect it to the display. That way you're powering your laptop with only a singular cable and still getting display out. This has a lot of different options that you're going to be able to use, but I am really excited to see what the mini LED looks like when we're actually gaming. Just a couple of other details as I get this plugged in. The mean pixel response time on this is 1 millisecond, so you're going to have super fast gray-to-gray response times. Additionally, it has support for both NVIDIA G-Sync as well as AMD FreeSync, so whatever adaptive refresh rate technology you're trying to use, it's going to be able to do that. There are built-in speakers. It's got 2x2 watt speakers in case you want to play audio out of your monitor. And I believe I said this earlier, but I'm just going to make sure right now, this is an IPS panel so that you're going to have good viewing angles no matter where you're sitting in relation to the monitor itself. So that's powered on. Let's go ahead and remove this for the first time. Oh, that is good. Oh, that is a nice matte display right there. Not a ton of reflection, even in a super bright environment. You can see we have our studio lights around. You're not seeing those very clearly at all. But what you are seeing is the mini LED right there. You see the power saving, but because of the mini LED technology, the entire panel's not lighting up. It's only doing it in the zones that the LEDs exist in. So again, this is close to the benefit of everything that OLED gives you, but without the cost and capable of giving you a lot of good gaming economics. So let's power this up. In this PC right here, I have a 5800 X3D and an RTX 4090. So we're gonna power this 4K 160 Hz display. There we go, booting up for the first time. And again, just even in that BIOS menu right there, You see very little illumination. The zoned LEDs are actually just perfectly illuminating. Let's turn off the studio lights to just see that. While I get a few things set up, let's just take a look at the RGB backlight that it has. This is absolutely pure gamer aesthetic right here, looking gorgeous. Before we fire up a game, I just want to show you the OLED test. You see the contrast on this is incredibly good. There's very minimal backlight bleed that's happening, especially as it fades to black. What you're having is the actual colors are staying illuminated. Down here in the zones where it's not as bright, it's not illuminating those LEDs as much, and it allows it to get closer to perfect black levels without that kind of sheen that you might see, some light ghosting that you have on certain LED panels that might have a local array dimming. But now we need to see how it looks for gaming. So let's go ahead and go to display settings, and we're already default 4K 160 Hertz, only in SDR. So let's go ahead and switch this over to HDR. HDR looking good. Now we have up to that 1000 nits brightness. Just want to take a look at the menu settings on here if we possibly can. It has a joystick at the back, which is always preferred for actually navigating menus like this. I turned G-Sync on to make sure that there's no screen tearing while we're gaming. You also have overdrive selection in case you want to turn that on, as well as game assist features like timer, crosshair, and FPS counter. HDR settings, you can change the RGB lighting on the back to either be red, green, blue, off, or breathing like we have it now. You could have the KVM switch set up to be auto, USB up, or Type-C, display stream compression, as well as model information of the actual display that you have. This is actually a fairly simple menu, but it does everything right. The joystick at the back is super easy to use. So just loading up Cyberpunk to take a look at how this monitor looks, and HDR on this is incredible. You have so much of the highlight in the sun right here while still maintaining all of the details in the shadows, thanks to the fact that it has HDR 1000. But even as I'm trying to show you this on the screen, my camera is blowing out just with how bright this monitor actually is. So if we lower the ISO and then also lower the aperture, you can see that the sun is right there. You just can't see it on this normal camera setup because this monitor gets so bright. And that's exactly what you want from HDR. You want high dynamic range where the brights are still going to be really bright, but then you have proper details still going on in the shadows right here. Mini LED adding that extra contrast, getting closer to the black levels, and it also being a really fast IPS panel. This monitor honestly is delivering a top-notch experience. Taking a look at the Test UFO blur busters, I'm seeing minimal ghosting. The mini LED backlight is actually working really effectively to distinguish between the active parts and the non-illuminated parts. This is actually looking really good. And just playing a few other games, I am blown away by the HDR content in here. Being able to illuminate everything properly, having the high dynamic range. This thing's running flawlessly at 4K. That 160 Hertz is coming into play here. 4090 is probably one of the very few cards that's going to be capable of actually properly driving this display, but that's one of the benefits of getting a display that's better than your graphics card. It's going to last you a long time. You're going to be able to enjoy high refresh rate gaming. I'm just blown away by this sky. My goodness, I don't think I've ever seen it this crisp on a monitor before. Getting a monitor that exceeds your GPU allows you to enjoy high refresh rate for esports titles. You know, if you want to play CSGO, League of Legends, etc., you can play it at 4K and get 160 Hertz, but then also when you're finally ready to upgrade to the 50, 60 series, get a higher end GPU, eventually this thing is going to hold up. Buying a high quality monitor is a long-term investment, and honestly, this one really shines here. And then just checking out one last game, The Witcher 3 with the new ray tracing update, and yes, this is looking incredible on this monitor. I had no doubts after checking out a couple of other games. This is honestly how I want to play. I just want to get so close into it and look more because it's just so beautiful. This is a way I've never played this game before, with HDR at 1000 nits brightness, ray tracing on, 4K, max settings, everything on a 40. Like this is a new experience right here. It is incredible. This monitor has so many pros for me. It's one of the highest end gaming monitors that I've been able to test, but comes in at a price point that doesn't break the bank. I mean, just a few years ago, if you wanted to get 4K 144 Hertz, you were spending thousands of dollars to hit that price point, and the price point that KTC has come in with this is much better, but you're also getting 160 Hertz refresh rate, you're also getting IPS, you're getting mini LED added in on that technology, a KVM switch, HDR 1000, this thing is hitting so many points. This is honestly a super deal for a high-end gaming monitor. So you can check the link out for this monitor down at the video description. Again, big thanks to KTC for sponsoring this video and for sending over the M27P20P. This is is a high-end gaming monitor at a great price point. Big thanks to them. Check it out. I'll see you guys in the next video.